Hey guys, welcome to Y&R Daily Update YouTube channel. Today's topics: will Y&R's Victor Newman push his family away at Christmas time? Victor's so busy taking down the Abbotts that he doesn't realize he could lose his own family. Victor Newman is at war with Jack Abbott on The Young and the Restless. However, he could distance himself from his family if he's not careful. First, he kicked Nikki out of their home, and he ruffled feathers with Claire. Key takeaways: Nikki finally put her foot down with Victor. She's ready to walk away from her marriage, if it means ending the Abbott-Newman war. Claire finds herself caught in the middle. Victor could lose his family. Victor and Nikki Newman butt heads on Friday's episode. Victor Eric Braden lost his mind when Nikki, Melody Thomas, Scott threatened to leave. He showed her where the door was. "Go ahead and leave," he told her. Prior to that, Nikki was already growing increasingly frustrated with her husband. She thought he had gone too far, especially during the holiday season. Once again, they argued about the night when Jack Peter Bergman saved Nikki's life. Victor argued that she could have died. Nikki maintained that Jack saved her life that night. She begged her husband to stop the Abbott-Newman war. Later in the episode, Nikki questioned Victor's conversation with Michael Christian LeBlanc. Then, she finally gave her husband an ultimatum. It was time for Victor to pull the Newman media hit piece and to issue a public apology. Also, she wanted Victor to give her the AI program so it could be destroyed. Victor wanted to know what would happen if she didn't get what she wanted. She threatened to leave him, which drove him to the brink of insanity. Victor screamed that he doesn't take threats lightly. That's when he told his wife that if she wanted to leave, she could exit through their front door. Claire ruffles Victor's feathers on Monday's episode. Claire Haley Aaron visited the Newman ranch and was surprised that it had been decorated for Christmas. Her grandfather asked her what she wanted for Christmas. Claire was surprised that Victor had time to shop when he's busy taking down the Abbotts. He asked her if she had talked to her grandmother lately. Claire admitted that she was informed that the Abbotts were shutting down Jabbo to protect their company from him. Needless to say, their conversation was awkward. Victor was still spiraling over Nikki's betrayal. He wondered why Claire was worried about the Abbotts. Since she had broken up with Kyle, Michael Mueller, she calmly stated that she still cared about Kyle and his family. However, she is currently on a journey of self-discovery. Victor snarked that Holden Nathan Owens won't help her with her journey because of his bad reputation. Claire could tell that her grandfather was trying to change the subject. Victor wanted to know why Claire was choosing sides. She just wanted to know why he hated Jack so much. But the questions didn't provide any answers. Victor argued that he didn't want to discuss this anymore, and advised her to stay away from that family. But he could end up tearing his own family apart just in time for Christmas. It'll be too late when he finally realizes what he's lost. Subscribe our channel for more latest update. Christmas in Genoa City is traditionally framed as a time for reflection, reconciliation, and family unity. But when it comes to Victor Newman, the holidays often expose his deepest contradictions. As The Young and the Restless heads into Christmas time, the question isn't whether Victor will dominate a boardroom or outmaneuver a rival, it's whether his relentless need for control will finally push his own family beyond the point of return. Recent story developments suggest that Victor may be closer than ever to doing just that. Victor Newman and the illusion of protection. Victor has always justified his most ruthless actions by claiming they're done for the family. In his mind, control equals protection. If he's in charge, everyone is safe. If he's winning, the Newmans are secure. But Christmas has a way of stripping away those justifications. It's a season that prioritizes emotional presence over power. And that's where Victor struggles most. His instinct is to manage, command, and dictate, especially when he feels threatened. And right now, Victor feels threatened on multiple fronts. Instead of drawing his family closer, that instinct may be driving them away. Nikki Newman, a marriage at a crossroads. The most immediate risk lies in Victor's relationship with Nikki. Their marriage has survived decades of betrayal, separation, and loss. But recent tension feels different. Nikki's growing frustration isn't about a single lie or scheme, it's about Victor's refusal to listen. At Christmas, emotional neglect feels louder. Shared moments are meant to heal. But Victor's preoccupation with power struggles and control leaves Nikki isolated even when they're in the same room. Her patience, once endless, is clearly wearing thin. If Victor continues to dismiss Nikki's concerns, he risks turning what should be a season of reconnection into the moment she finally emotionally disengages. And that may be the loss Victor is least prepared to face. His children. Loyalty with conditions. Victor's relationships with his children have always been transactional to some degree. Love is offered, but loyalty is expected in return. At Christmas time, that dynamic becomes especially stark. Adam, in particular, remains trapped in a cycle of craving approval while resenting control. Victor's tendency to override Adam's choices, especially regarding family matters, signals a lack of trust that's impossible to ignore. Christmas should be about Adam feeling like he belongs, not like he's on probation. Nick and Victoria, meanwhile, have grown increasingly independent. They no longer need Victor's approval to define their identities. If Victor continues to assert dominance instead of respect, he may find himself surrounded by family members who show up out of obligation rather than love. The danger of emotional distance. What makes Victor's potential isolation so tragic is that it's entirely preventable. His family doesn't want him to be weaker, they want him to be present. They want conversation instead of command, understanding instead of control. Christmas amplifies that need. It's a reminder that time is finite, relationships are fragile, and power offers no protection against loneliness. Victor's refusal to adapt may not spark an immediate blow-up, but it creates emotional distance that's far harder to repair. And emotional distance, once normalized, becomes permanent. The pattern Victor refuses to break. Victor's greatest flaw isn't ambition, it's rigidity. He struggles to evolve emotionally, even as the world around him changes. His children are no longer fighting for survival, they're fighting for autonomy. Nicky isn't asking for devotions, he's asking for partnership. Yet Victor continues to operate as though fear and authority are the glue that holds his family together. Christmas threatens that illusion. When family members gather in the same space, unresolved tensions surface, and Victor's instinct will likely be to tighten his grip rather than open his heart. That response could be the final push his family doesn't recover from. Why? Christmas time matters on Y&R aren't just decorative, they're narrative catalysts. They force characters into proximity, encourage reflection, and highlight emotional fractures that can no longer be ignored. For Victor, Christmas represents a moment of choice. He can continue asserting dominance, or he can finally acknowledge that his family doesn't need a general, they need a husband, a father, and a partner. The show has been quietly setting the stage for this reckoning. Conversations feel heavier, silences linger longer. Victor's authority, once unquestioned, now feels increasingly hollow. The cost of winning everything. Victor has always believed that sacrifice is necessary for success. But what if the sacrifice is his family's trust? What if winning every battle means losing the war that actually matters? Christmas forces that question into focus. It's not about who controls the company or the narrative. It's about who's left standing beside you when the lights go down and the room grows quiet. If Victor continues down his current path, he may find himself alone in a house full of people. Final thoughts. A season of reckoning. Will Victor Newman push his family away at Christmas time? The signs are troubling. His instincts remain unchanged, even as the emotional stakes rise. He believes strength means control. But his family is asking for vulnerability. Whether Victor can hear that message or whether he'll ignore it until it's too late will define not just the holiday episodes, but the future of the Newman family dynamic. Christmas is a season of grace, but grace requires humility, and that's the one gift Victor Newman has never learned how to give.